guys, it's the Doll Place, and today we're back at it again with another exciting behind-the-scenes video of our photos.
So we're doing the lantern scene from Tangled. We always kind of wanted to do this with our dolls, but it's always kind of seemed impossible, but you know, why not?
Actually, the way that we were inspired by this is the boat that we used in the Lady of Shalott photo. We thought it looked, we're like, what else could we do with this? Ultimately, it didn't work out,
But we've always wanted to do a Tangled photo. We've seen Tangled over 36 times. That's not a lie. We actually watched it every day for a month. So, to start this photo off, we of course need to make the boat. Originally, we were going to use the Lady of Shalott boat, but we made a new one because it has a different shape and seating included. And we just made an exact replica of it with cardboard and covered it in some paper mache till we had this kind of thing going on.
It's not an exact replica because theirs was made out of the animation.
And you can see there's a seat for Eugene and Rapunzel. So then we just painted it the colors that you see the boat are and added some gloss. And that is the boat.
Now on to the characters. Miss Cabbage herself. A fun fact, Rapunzel means cabbage in German.
Isabel is playing Rapunzel, just wearing the Rapunzel dress. And then poor Samantha over here got dressed up as Eugene and had a goatee glued on. Samantha doesn't get paid enough for this, guys. So just really, like, props to her for doing this.
One like equals one prayer for Samantha.
So we also have the satchel with the crown. Now we have this satchel from our Lilo animators doll, and then we have the crown from some old Rapunzel doll we had.
And then we made a braid out of a mixture of brown and yellow yarn. And yes, we are aware that it looks like a dead fish, but it will be covered in flowers, and so the color is the only thing that matters. And it matches her hair, so there you go.
And we're going to hook it up to a bun that she's going to end up having. And we styled her, the front part of her hair, in 2 Dutch braids that meet in the back to kind of get that look. And of course this is covered in a lot of flowers, and so we printed out a lot of flowers on paper, and we were going to make them, we made them double-sided and just cut them out. Yeah, we definitely got a variety here, ones that look like the ones seen, and we ended up with 96 flowers just on this braid.
Added some wire to the back to be like pins, and then just stabbed them into our yarn braid thing, and this is what it ended up looking like. Well, here's the progression of the flowers, and as you can see, she looks like a little bush.
And we even went as far as to make sure that we put the right kind of flower in the right spot of her head, because we kind of followed along her exact braid, what type of flower, how big it was, and where it was.
Next is my best buddy, Pascal!
Because as you guys can see, he is sitting in the back of the boat there, so we gotta make him. And I just made him out of some polymer clay really fast, and yeah, here he is not painted, and here he is painted.
He's a beauty. And we're gonna keep him forever. Where is he?
He'll stay in Rose's room.
Where is he?
He's in Rose's room.
Oh, okay.
And we made his little stand on the boat along with the little rope thing. And we did some tests with some lighting. We have this orange lamp, so we wanted to kind of see if that would help with a nice glow.
Because there's some like warmth. It's, you know, it's new love. It's warm. It's glowing.
We completely emptied out our stepsister's old room, and so yeah, we moved mattresses and all sorts of things. So this entire set took up this entire room. It's the biggest set, floor space, wall space wise we've ever had, and you guys can see the boat just laying in the middle of the floor. We look like crazy people. So we got them posed with their hands being held and stuff, and their feet. They're not actually sitting. They're kind of just have crisscross legs here. It's complicated. Now this backdrop is just made out of every single piece of cardboard and paper from every set previously, and we covered an entire wall with it and stapled it on. It's huge. It covered the whole wall, and it's just like this purpley color. And we have everything in place, as you guys can see. They're all on the boat. Pascal's there. They're holding hands.
Perfect.
They're holding their little hands.
Their little stubby little hands.
Got the crown. And
stole that. She's the lost princess, but she doesn't know it yet. there's love in the air. There's changes of hearts.
With Samantha.
There is realizing truths. There is dreams coming true, and there is uncertainty of what will come next.
I kept just getting thrown off guard by thinking about the fact that underneath all of this is Samantha Parkington. Once again, just like thank you to her. Now you guys can see there is a huge amount of space between the boat and the backdrop, about 8 feet, and then there is a huge amount of space between the boat and the closet that we crammed ourselves into to get the shot. And there's a view of that wall.
Just shout out one more time to our stepsister for moving out and giving us her room.
So then we took some very thin wire, the stuff that we usually use to make our doll's hair blow in the wind and stuff, and we completely just made it go across one side of the room to the other and stapled it and tied it. And we did 17 of these, and this is what the lanterns will hang from. Then we got about 30 tea lights, and we printed out some lanterns, some with the Corona symbol on them, being being orange, some without the symbol, some pink ones, and then some pink ones with the sun on them. And you guys can see what this looks like. And we just ended up rolling these around and gluing them to make them all. And this is how we made the lanterns.
And I just wanted to pop in here and say that Samantha and Isabel took this photo before the virus, so they are currently practicing social distancing. This was pre-recorded, and they are following all the CDC guidelines, etc.
And you guys can see what this looks like with all the various colors, the pinks and all that, and yeah, it looks super pretty. Now, it is really bright in this room because there are windows in here, and that needs to be stopped because this scene takes place at night. But here is all the lanterns glowing, and, you know. So we started to drape them from those wires one by one, just wrapping the tea light to make kind of like a little cup, and then hanging that from each individual wire. So yeah, they all were really floating. And we just kept doing this. None of these were lit up yet. This was just how they looked.
And suddenly we're in Hogwarts.
And guys, it's really weird because they just sat holding hands for about 5 days in this room by themselves.
And I would like to once again reiterate that this was pre-recorded and that both of them are following social distancing now. So don't worry, they are self-isolating.
And you guys can see the set is really starting to come together. Like we said, individually, each one is hanging. It's just like a giant spider web. None of these are on. There's the view from above. Then we started to light some of them up.
Woo woo!
We added this little tea light just by itself between their faces to help light their faces up because this whole picture is really dark, like it's nighttime. So we just put this one in between and edited it out. And then we strung some fairy lights across these wires in the back, just create some bokeh in the back to be like a whole bunch of... Now, we covered our windows with a lot of cardboard and blankets and all sorts of weird things like that because it's a full moon and we had to block out all the moonlight because we are on H2O.
I think you're confusing that with our other photo.
Next we had to make the water, and we just did our basic technique of water making, which is aluminum foil. Now this could be water itself without painting, but it wasn't reflecting enough and it kind of just looks like tinfoil. So we just painted this and did this for a very long time and made about 15 feet of these. And here's us watching iCarly at about 1 a.m. and making the water. Hashtag living that AG IG life.
Can we just, like, take a moment to realize how difficult it is to say AGIG? Like, I feel like, it's, like, it has to crawl into my mouth, and, like, I'm puking it up every time I say it. It's like, AGIG, AGIG.
It definitely doesn't roll off the tongue. You guys can see it's kind of bright. That's because the sun's there, but we're still working on getting this blocked up a little bit more. It's a little too thin. But we do have our water here now. About 15 feet of it, and we gotta block out this sun, man, because this is a nighttime photo. But they are all ready, guys. The lanterns aren't lit, by the way, at the moment. But I kept turning them on and off.
The only thing that's lit is this photo.
So then here's everything lit up, and we did have the orange lamp way, way, way in the background to help kind of add a glow. And this was an incredibly dark room. This room was incredibly dark. It was hard to kind of even see what I was doing. I felt like I was here in the lantern scene, guys. But yeah,
so romantic.
The hardest thing about this photo was definitely getting the right lighting to make sure it was dark enough. But the lanterns still, you could still see what was going on and still see their faces. And you guys can just see it's truly beautiful. And then here is what the photo turned out like.
Hottie McGotties with the swimmers' bodies.
I think that this turned out so, so cool, and we used to just think that this photo recreation was absolutely impossible, so trying it out was really, really cool, and yeah, I love the turnout. It was definitely a process, though. We also took some other photos to kind of recreate certain moments in this scene as well, because we had this all set up, so
This is when he notices off in the distance the light, and he's like, Mother Gothel, and this is when she's like,
lanterns.
Lanterns, they're so beautiful. I realize that I am worthy of living my own life, and I don't have to be controlled by an abusive parent who just wants to use me for my magical hair, and that I can worthy of the world, and I don't have to be locked in a tower anymore, and I can feel the heat of the flame of the lantern as I put it into the air, and I can feel the water on my fingers as I splash my hand down.
So yeah, this was definitely one of our craziest, most tedious photos, and just all the intricate little, each lantern to like create the impression of thousands of lanterns and actually make them float was a process and took a lot of thinking of how we could do it.
But you know what? You do what you gotta do, and you send those lanterns out in hopes that one day you will find the lost princess. And I can say today with certainty that we found the lost princess. So maybe that's all that matters. And I think along the way, we found ourselves.
Thanks for watching.
Yep. Bye. There. It never happened.
There. It never happened.